Zach?
Here.
Bill Lillenberg. Scott Manette. Ray Pollock. Here. Karen.
Yes.
Rob.
Here.
Vanessa.
Here.
Jan.
Here.
Jim Summers. Victoria.
Here.
Donna.
Here.
Is here.
We have 13 members present. We have a quorum.
We have 14 members. Scott Manette is here.
Check him in, check him in.
Okay. All right, Jerry, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? We're ready.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jerry. All right, I'd like to welcome everybody here. I know we're going to have some people from the council district and hopefully our senior leads. And we asked Mel and Darren to attend the meeting, but I don't see them yet. So if it's okay with everybody, we're going to move on to public comment. And I have Mr. Bob Dagger with the Santa Susana Mountain Parks Association. And we have 2 minutes.
I can do it.
Good.
Oh, thank you. My name is Bob Dagger. My colleague Tom Knocktrop and I are here tonight representing the SSMPA. For those of you who aren't acquainted with us, we're one of the oldest and largest of the environmental organizations in the San Fernando Valley. A year or so ago, we appeared in front of you asking for your support in our campaign to have the federal land at the Santa Susana Field Laboratory turned over to the National Park Service after it was cleaned up. We felt that the National Park Service was the only entity that could assure that this land would remain open space and parkland forever. You agreed with us, and you presented us with this letter of support. And we're here tonight to thank you for that and also to give you a very brief update. 2 years ago, well, in the 2 years or the year or so since we appeared here, we've taken your letter and those of a dozen other neighborhood councils and community organizations to over 20 governmental officials and elected representatives to show them what the people of the valley wanted for a future for this property. 2 years ago, the General Services Administration put this property up for sale, and they were pushing like crazy to have the sale completely tied up by spring of last year. Well, in the meantime, they took this project off the front burner and moved it way to the back. And we're convinced that it is the pressure from the officials and from the government and from the elected representatives for this area on these people that caused them to back off of this project. But the job isn't done. As of now, the National Park Service has not yet agreed to take over administration of the property, so we still have work to do. We've left 2 pieces of informational material in front of each of you. We encourage you to go to the 2 websites that are on there, the SSMPA and the Citizens Action Group for the Santa Susana Field Lab. With these 2 websites, you can become completely informed about what's going on and what is proposed in the cleanup of this laboratory up there. There are links to the official governmental reports and to the official scientific reports that are involved. Again, we thank you for your support and for your leadership. And if you should ever want a full presentation on this, contact us. We'd be happy to make it.
Do you have any questions? Go ahead, Bill.
Do you offer any tours or orientation of the property that might help people understand?
Boeing offers many tours. In fact, there was one just, 2 weeks ago? And it attracted about 85 people up there. They have bus tours and they have walking tours. If you go on the Boeing website, the community activities, They have them all during the cool months of the year, not the summer.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? I have a question. Does this property belong to Bowling Rocketdyne?
It's a huge piece of property, the 450 acres right in the center of it that is the most polluted, where they did all the rocket testing, belongs to the federal government.
Okay.
The rest of it surrounding it, a little piece belongs to the Department of Energy, but the rest of the 2,650 acres does belong to Bowling.
Okay, so how can the government sell Bowling's property or
No,
the property?
it's the 450 acres that the government owns that they're trying to sell,
Okay.
that they did try to sell, but they backed off of.
All right.
Thank you.
I just didn't know.
I know, it's a very complicated subject. Well, thank you for your attention.
Any other questions?
Like you say that there's no guarantee, but Boeing has publicly said many times in writing that they intend to turn their property over for public use.
They've already committed to their land being open space and parkland, and now we have to get the government to commit that their land will also.
Yeah, Mike. Mike is still bowling, he's doing that.
Boeing is doing the large portion of property, and they have committed to turning it over to the people, or the National Park Service preferably. The State Park Service can't do it, they don't have the wherewithal.
Scott?
Yeah, what's the status of the property around the dam?
That is the Department of Energy, and the scientific reports report that it is completely clear of any radiation. That's why, go to these websites and they'll link you up with the actual scientific reports on it. And whatever you do, don't believe what you read in the newspaper. It's sensationalized to sell papers.
Rob, did you have a question? Okay, Ralph?
When they say completely free of radiation, I think they're saying above background level.
Yes, I'm sorry, correct. There is always radiation, and we're getting it all the time from Nakashima, from everywhere else. You're correct. It's not above our normal.
Well, thank you for the information.
Thank you.
Who next? Come on, Bill.
Thank you.
Mr. Guzman?
I just wanted to add one quick comment to the part about background radiation. It's kind of a misnomer because background radiation keeps going up. The more testing that was done in the 50s, 60s, the nuclear disasters increases that background radiation. So it's not a benign number. It keeps going up.
Hi everyone. I want to wish you all a Happy New Year. Unfortunately for me, it's difficult always to get here on Tuesday because I have a standing Tuesday night meeting that I have to, get to, and I try not to miss when possible. But I really just wanted to say thank you to the Granada Hills North Neighborhood Council for all your efforts over the last year, the many accomplishments that were achieved by the efforts of this board, including the Knollwood Signal, the fact that an outreach committee was formed this last year and was very active in getting notice out to the community, the newsletter in the summer, and the survey. These are all outreach items to the public, the things that I'd love to see a neighborhood council doing. I normally don't use names, but Mr. Summers, I'm sorry, has done a fabulous job with outreach, and Jan and Agnes with the planning and land use have just been incredible. So I just wanted to say thank you all for a great 2014, and looking forward to more accomplishments this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any more public comment? Hi, Wade. How are you?
I don't actually need a microphone.
Okay, I do.
Thanks. The only reason I came tonight was because I had sent you a request to schedule a some kind of action on the DMV, the new one, the super center, by our offices. I realized that that was a pretty tall order, but I wanted you to know because I assumed that maybe Megan was going to be here and it would come up at some point during her presentation. Again, as you could tell from my email that, it was horrendous. I was over there this evening at 5 o'clock, there's still people in place. The parking lot is entirely full. There was not one parking spot open except in front of our office because they did put out cones and they have put some parking notices along there to tell the people.
And a security guard.
Yeah. So the problem is that this never should have happened. When I started calling, I called Mission Hills because I assumed east of Balboa was Mission Hills Division. They look at it and they go, oh, no, it us, but we knew this was going to happen. Call Devonshire. Okay, Devonshire, hey, we can't do anything. You need to call Valley Parking Service. Oh, by the way, we knew this was going to happen. Everybody in the world knew that this was going to happen because the DMV didn't do by appointment only. In other words, they didn't just say, don't show up because we're not going to do, you have to make an appointment. So these people are coming. They're lined up at 8 o'clock. Go tomorrow. They'll be there. All lined up. And they're going to wait 3-4 hours before they get into the process and get an appointment and come back and they start the paperwork. So DMV is totally responsible for this. I hold Ricky Gell for responsible also because he didn't turn around and come to us. He did when he was talking about putting in Pet Boys in there, and then to turn around and switch to the super center was not good. Anyway, that's the first one I have. Okay, I just wanted to be here in case there were any questions. Second one was Blossom Flowers at the Norwood Shopping Mall. As you all know, he parks that big truck there, covered with graffiti. And I had said to a few people, I'm going to stop in and talk to him. I did stop in and talk to him. He says they graffitied it 3 times. He's called the cops, everybody. He paints it out, they come back. So apparently, it's in the evening, or in the early morning, around about 3 o'clock, they're coming. I don't know if they're coming to McDonald's and they're just going over to, but he says it's a massive problem over there. So I just thought I would bring it to the attention of neighborhood council. Something needs to be done. Apparently, we are a big attraction for some gang activity over there. Thank you.
Excuse me, Wade?
Yes.
Have you asked them at Devonshire, I don't know if it's on the Mission side of the street, about the volunteer surveillance team, if they're able to put
It's
that...
actually Topanga. It's a mission area.
No, I didn't have any contact with them. I just spoke to the owner because I actually thought that his truck was being graffitied elsewhere and he was driving in and he goes, no, I bring it in here clean and this is what they do to it 3 times. Police have been all day, said they've also done the ATM, the Bank of America ATM all day. Said if you go behind the coffee place, sorry, Starbucks, I don't drink it, behind, he said it was all covered over there. They painted that all over. But he says that the wee hours of the morning, apparently, graffiti is gang activity. So I don't know if they're coming for the McDonald's, because I think McDonald's is open 24/7, is it not? Somebody could correct me on that. So they seem to have an excuse to get there, and then when they get there, they're just doing. I thought I would just bring it to the attention of safety committee, you guys, because I think we have a serious problem.
It's much better today. I was over there earlier, and we have a security guard that's in front of our area and restricting anybody from parking. Police were there.
Oh, you're talking about the San Fernando Mission Boulevard Mall.
We're talking about our office.
Yeah, our office, right. And I was just finished talking about the Norwood.
I know. I'm just saying it's much better. There were 4 police officers there, and they were checking IDs. They had a couple people up against the wall, so they're letting it be known that they are there.
Right. And Officer Tang that I referred to in the email, is actively working on it, but he needs a lot of help. And apparently there need to be a little bit of a bomb placed under the council office to get this, emergency, not emergency, but this resolution on and moving through so that they can assign a CHP officer to the thing, and then he can also enforce parking
I
inside the
left, I
park.
left Leland a voicemail. I've known Leland for about 20 years, so.
Thank you.
Yes, Jan? Yes?
I just want you to be aware that I've gotten about 6 emails and 1 phone call now regarding the DMV property. I also spoke with someone at Devonshire. They referred me to Mission, and Megan should be, they are aware of it also. And yes, they're trying to put a motion on it, and it takes time, but they're in touch with it, and I will keep in touch with people myself and plumbers.
I did get a copy of what your conversation with Megan. The guys, they need a bomb placed under them to get them moving on this. Everybody has known and been aware about this for many months now. And it's just like it just went slowly along the way. This didn't need to happen.
The one thing I want to make sure that we as neighborhood council understand is, and I've answered the calls, probably come by some neighborhood watch by from our stakeholders, is we're neighborhood council that's here to help our stakeholders, help with the area. We're working as good as we can, so is everybody else. I certainly can't speak for what happened before this, but they're on it, we're on it, and I will keep in touch with them.
And as far as the rankings go, out of the 3 super standards, we're number 2 as the worst. There is one that has it even worse than we have, but however, that's, hey, even coming in second is not good.
We have Megan here right now, so. Hi, Megan.
Did someone have a question, or am I walking in cold? What happened?
We were talking about the DMV.
Okay, yeah. So Jan emailed me today, and we spoke about it a little bit on the email. I don't know who else was CC'd on the email, and I know Wade's upstate, and he's been working with Leland Tang with CHP. Unfortunately, because of the different agencies that are involved with the DMV, there's a little bit of paperwork that we're going to have to do. So the city's in the process of creating an ordinance which would allow CHP to enforce state law on private property. Is kind of the gist of what we're trying to do with the DMV situation. So because it's private property, there's limited enforcement that CHP can do, and they came to our office at the end of last year to help out with that. So I don't know if the motion was introduced. I was speaking with Tanya in our office, but I know the councilman's in full support of the CHP, obviously having jurisdiction in that area, and is working with DOT and LAPD to get additional patrols and enforcement. I don't know if Officer Angela has replied to your email either. I was hoping to see her here tonight to chat about it as well. But that's kind of it in a nutshell. I don't know if anyone had any other questions.
Anybody? Anything new from the council?
Yeah, well, kind of. We're still in recess. But I did want to share, at the end of last year, there was an announcement that the LAPD would be moving forward with approximately rolling out eventually about 5,000 on-body officer cameras. I've been talking the last couple of months about Councilmember Englander's work to get on-body cameras for LAPD officers, and right now they're doing a pilot program with about 700 cameras. These cameras are made by Taser International, and they're very neat. We do know that there's a lot of concern with regards to security, public records requests, and what kind of information would be shared with the public. And so we're working through the technical questions of information sharing, but we hope that the on-body officer cameras will be a benefit to the city of Los Angeles. They're cameras that the officers would wear on their chest, and the officers would be allowed to activate. And actually what's interesting about these cameras is they record 30 seconds prior to the activation. They only record video for that 30 seconds, not audio. But they have the ability to record 30 seconds before the officer actually hits the button, so we can get a better picture of what happens in situations where these cameras might be used. I did want to say also that the council member continues to push for a statewide yellow alert system that would aid in tracking down perpetrators of hit and run crime. I can't read my writing. So we introduced a motion on December 3rd to include AB 8 and to have the City of Los Angeles support AB 8, which Mike Gatto introduced into the state legislature. And I think that's pretty much it, unless anyone has a question. Okay. Mr. Kuzmin?
Still concerned about Council File 11-1018 and the regional grievance panel ordinance that's supposed to be prepared by the city attorney. The last I heard from the city attorney was in September at the Congress, as I've mentioned before, where they said they'd be ready in a month, which would have meant October, and here we are in January. So I'm just wondering if there's anything at all that Councilman Englander's office can do to contact Councilman O'Farrell's office, who submitted the motion, to inquire what the hang-ups are in getting that out so it can be brought into the system now that it looks like Dunn's going to get some new employees in the near future to be able to administrate that procedure, which was one of the reasons they gave for delaying it.
I can check into that for you, no problem.
Great, thank you.
Megan, it was AB what?
It was AB 8.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, back to public comment. When I went to get the keys at St. Euphrasia earlier today, there was a letter there addressed to me with no stamp on it or anything, and I opened it. And this is to the Executive Committee of the Granada Hills North Neighborhood Council, Executive Council. And does anybody know a Jane Greenbaum? Because I'd like to respond to this lady and thank her. But as a member of this council, remember you are always under scrutiny, and probably under more scrutiny because you're a member of this body. I'm going to leave the name of this person out because he is no longer on this board. I'd like to let her know that also. But it was good afternoon. I just want the board to be aware about the conduct and character of blank regarding an incident I witnessed a couple weeks ago. It happened to be a drive-through In-N-Out Burger in Sylmar. 2 driveways and an SUV tied up on the left-hand side. Saw a man get out of his car from the right side driveway. The man started banging on the passenger side window of the SUV. He was screaming and yelling at a minority lady and her 2 young children in the back seat. I recognize the man as blank. It can't be mistaken because I saw his car and she describes it and gives the license number. I have seen him drive this car. He was very loud, harassing a lady and her 2 young kids. This was uncalled for just a hamburger. I could see the kids were scared and he just kept yelling. They couldn't drive away because they were waiting in line and were trapped. He took advantage of the situation and just kept screaming and yelling and created the disturbance. I think the board and executive council should be aware of his demeanor toward minority and children. Please do not mention my name to him. I am afraid of retaliation. I saw what he did to this lady and her kids, and I don't want him to do the same or worse to me. Anyway, if anyone knows this woman, I would really like to contact her personally and just assure her that he's no longer a board member. But also just to let everybody know that we're not just regular people out there to a lot of people because we do sit on this council. So just always kind of be aware of that. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the December minutes?
I don't want to make a motion, I have a question on a couple of the items. It may be obvious, but it isn't to me. Item number 3, approval of a board meeting seconded by me, but it doesn't say who caused the motion. We don't have a name for that. Same applies for number DB. So I'd like to know, we need to include that. Who called the motion, and on the treasurer's report, same thing.
Okay, on committee reports, the motion comes from the committee. And there were some motions that were made that I didn't get a name. So whatever I have in my notes, I put down. Can't make up names.
I believe I.
This was board minutes, it could have come from anybody on the board.
I believe I put in the motion to approve the
Okay.
minutes.
Bill Cotter, we can add that, amend that.
And the other one was on treasurer's report, we'll probably take that, so it's not that. Well, you weren't here last. Were you? Yeah, were you here last month? Yeah, okay, so anybody here want to own up to doing that one?
It was probably Mike probably did the issues on it. So but it came from,
I was sitting next to him, I believe it was him.
All right.
It's not here, it's perfect person. And then so that was my only two comments on that, thank you.
okay. So a motion to approve the minutes as amended. Bill Hopkins. Let's write down Bill Hopkins. Okay, a second.
Do I need to spell?
Do you want to second it too? Jen Super will second it for you. Okay. If there are no objections from the board, we would like to call the vote unanimous in support of the motion, and the minute taker will indicate a yes vote for all board members present on the vote count form. Okay. All right. Yes.
Sorry, do you mind?
Sure.
Sorry, I just double checked, and I wanted to confirm, we had actually introduced the motion for the regulation. It was introduced on December 15th. For the record, the council file is 14-1725, and we're waiting for the motion to go to transportation committee. So hopefully, the process is faster than I thought it was.
That's for the DMV?
That's for the DMV regulations, yeah. Do you
Great.
take that, Donna?
Bill, our emergency preparedness item of the month.
What do you mean don't blow it? Of course, everyone wants to know. So for this month, emergency whistles, they come in two day glow colors. Be sure you take one out, as we know, if you're trapped or in a dangerous situation, even a loud noise environment, you can blow a whistle a lot longer than you can yell and holler. And as a bonus, it makes it easier to find your keys. So make sure you pick up one on the way out. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. And I was going to do this earlier. Bill, thank you very much for setting everything up. Donna and Vanessa, thanks for getting all the snacks and stuff. And Donna for making all the copies. We definitely appreciate everybody's labors here. Okay, executive committee. We have a motion from the committee to have an election of officers at the March 3rd, 2015 meeting. We could have an election of officers next month if you want it. We can have it in April if you want it. Okay, because the election was uncontested, we actually started in January. So if nobody has an objection, we'll do it in March. If anybody wants to amend that to February, it's fine with me. And that will run until the next election, which will be April of 2016. So we thought we'd, just run it 1 month short of the election to kind of balance it out a little bit for two boards. All right. Does anybody have a problem with that? Okay. Okay, if there are no objections from the board, we would like to call the vote unanimous in support of the motion, and the minute taker will indicate a yes vote for all board members present on the vote count form. Okay with everybody? Thank you. Next motion, to approve Donna Zero, Sid Gold, Ray Pollock, and Michael Greenwald to post CIS, which are community impact statements, via online submission system. We have in our strategic plan for the year to post 10 community impact statements. We have done none yet. Sid has 3 coming up, and I'm sure he can find me a couple more. We want to make sure we attain that goal, and we do post with the city, the ideas we have in our outlook on things. Okay. So, any comments? Yes, Jim?
I believe you have 5, so it might be good
Right.
to add one more if somebody wants to volunteer.
We can add one more, and, yeah, we can have 5. Okay, we left one open. The other one that we would have proposed would have been Jan for planning and land use. If someone wants to amend that, if Jan wants to do that.
When would you like that?
Well, no, if you want to be listed as a person authorized to submit because of your plum duties.
Yes.
Okay. So, Ralph, you're going to amend the motion to include, do I have a second? Okay. All in favor of, oh, matter of fact, if there are no objections from the board, we would like to call the vote unanimous in support of the motion, the amendment to the motion, and the minute taker will indicate a yes vote for all board members present on the vote count form. Okay? Now, for the overall motion, if there are no objections from the board, we would like to call the vote unanimous in support of the motion, and the minute taker will indicate a yes vote for all board members present on the vote count form. Okay, Ruth? Thank you. All right, our treasurer's report.
Excuse me, Mike.
Yes.
For the executive committee, I wasn't able to go to your meeting. Did you take any action on the situation with board members who have apparently?
I'll address that in a minute here.
Okay.
Okay, when I get to know maybe. But thank you, Bill. Vanessa?
Okay, so the treasurer's report is back table, it was sent out to all the board members a week ago. Are there any questions about it, or?
Bill?
Are there any questions about the treasurer's report, any comments, concerns?
Yes, I was wondering where the coffee maker that we couldn't live without is.
It's here. And we're gonna find out who wants to take responsibility for making coffee. Matter of fact, it was suggested that we just make it with hot water and have some tea bags and some instant coffee.
I'm just saying, we went through last month discussing whether we were going to use it or not. Now we bought it.
Yeah, it's here and we can use it at will.
All right, I'm just making the comment. I didn't see any action towards using it, so.
Yeah. Well, that's because we just got it. We have.
Someone's gonna have to read the instructions.
Yeah, so and we have to get a volunteer to actually
And
use
there's
it.
so many men here, that won't happen.
Oh!
That's exactly the
Yeah, it's heard.
You were gonna be one.
Wait a minute, isn't that some kind of a violation?
Yes.
Not when you all laugh about it after.
Now it's called harassment, bullying.
Not when it's.
But you don't want to put hot water, you don't want to use the coffee pot to make hot water for tea, because then it taints the tea.
If we just heat the water in it, because it hasn't even been used for coffee.
After. Brand new, yeah, but once it starts being used for coffee, it, you know, even to whatever spout, it, yeah.
Okay, so second on the treasurer's report. Ralph? All right.
Okay, so I have to take a roll call vote because it's money involved. Don, will you do me a favor, and if someone is absent, yell out absent for me? Because I know some people can't attend. No, I'll be good. So Mike Chipidakis is absent, thank you. And Bill Cotter?
Yes.
Darian? Oh wait, cannot, ineligible, correct? Michael Greenwald?
Yes.
Sid?
Yes.
Ed? Absent. Bill Hopkins?
Yes.
Raheem?
Yes.
Ralph?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Bill Lillenberg? Absent. And Scott?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Karen? Rob?
Yes.
Me, yes. Jan?
Yes.
Jim Summers?
Yes.
Donna? Yes. And Victoria?
Yes.
Thank you.
So moved. Vanessa, I'd like to ask that you kind of huddle up with Mike and just kind of prepare a burn rate on our money projected out to June 30th. And, see what we might have left on the overall, so that we can make sure that we put it to good use. Okay? All right? Because, last year, you were shuffling papers so fast for a week. All right. Nominating committee, and before we go to Jen, we're going to make your life a little harder, Jen, because Ed Headington has...
You had a thing here about discussion and on the treasury report about Time Warner.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I firmly believe that we should go to Google Phone. Bill Hopkins agrees with me on that. I think that we should get rid of the internet service at the office at $120 a month, even at whatever cost, because most of us have smartphones. Most people look up. And for the amount of time anybody's in that office, a half an hour, I don't think we need to be spending $120 a month to have internet service there. So, our phone, but Bill Hopkins has volunteered to look into Google Phone so that we can move our phone over there. Correct, Bill?
Yeah, I think we can do that. It should be real easy to do, but my suggestion was to, investigate the issue with Time Warner to see if what happens if we drop the phone from the internet, and B, see if we can get a cheaper price for a lesser rate. We don't need a high-speed rate for what we do in the office, but when we do have meetings frequently, even with people bring their laptops, they connect over the wireless, checking the website, seeing what our buddies, etc. That happens a lot at some of the meetings, so I wouldn't necessarily support getting rid of it immediately. Let's find out if we can get a better price. Sometimes
I think Vanessa has done that.
The only issue about Time Warner is that anything you do for us, because it's a business, they're telling us that we have to commit for 2 years. Pay penalties for getting out of a contract. I think it's
Right
a
now,
long time to commit. Correct? I'm sorry.
we're not on any contract right now.
No, right now we're outside of any contract, absolutely. So if we had to change, if we wanted to change, because I investigated a different plan, different, configurations, the commitment of 2 years I thought was what was brought up. So
we
it
can't
was.
do that. The city will let us. Let me make just a suggestion here that Bill does know something about Google Phone and can find out how we can utilize Google Phone and who it would forward to, and maybe you could bring a proposal for that for next month. And the other thing is, if we get the Google Phone, I know how cable companies work, and if we just call them and quit, they will turn us over to the I forget, they have a name for it, the retention department.
Oh, yeah, that's my point.
And those people will do a sock shoe halfway across the room to try to keep you. And if they want to give us a good enough rate on keeping the internet and not a contract, then we can research it.
That was kind of my point. You call them up and you say, hey, just check it out, and this is the board, and the board wants to dump it unless you give us a good rate. What's your best deal? And see what happens. And that was, along those lines, and see what happens. If they say, well, we can't help you, and we're verified, then we say, we can't help you. Why?
Right.
So.
I will definitely get in touch with Time Warner again and make sure that I pressure them. Put the squeeze. I'll do my best, Chicago.
Vanessa,
I have no doubt. Yes, Ken.
just so you know that we had issues with Time Warner. I called them to cancel, and we are paying a rate of 5 years ago. So it may be worth trying. That was my Chicago girl.
I call Time Warner once a year and threaten to quit. And my San Clemente place, I call Cox once a year to quit. And very used to the retention department. Yes, Victoria?
Really quick, for business and for other meetings that I attend where there is no, Wi-Fi, thank you, I use my phone as a hotspot. So a lot of people that go into those meetings that need to do that, there's gotta be someone in there that can make their phone a hotspot. And I strongly, if your phone can't do that, I recommend that you do that because it is very helpful. And that would solve the internet problem.
Yeah, and say that it's all $100 a month for us, that's $1,200 to go to school or something like that.
Because somebody's phone.
Jim?
Two more other things we might want to also consider. Since we have the DMV there, they might have a real strong signal. Usually state supported promote that. And the other thing is if we could talk to the landlord with an area, maybe have all the tenants come together and we could do a group thing. I don't know if you've done
Well,
that.
actually, I think it would be great if somebody walked over to the DMV and said, due to the amount of problems you're causing us, how strong is your Wi-Fi signal? And can we get the password to it? We are a Los Angeles City organization.
Well, yeah. Well, not only that, but everybody in the state, it's a state support thing. We support the
Right.
DMV.
Right. But you guys are such a problem to us. Why don't you help us with something? Yes, Bill?
I just wanted to add a comment about the hotspot Wi-Fi. Sounds great, but if you've been to any of our meetings in the last few years, every time somebody comes and wants to set up something that's not set up, it takes about 20 minutes of meeting time for people to finally give up trying to get it set up. So, a different person, different time, well, let me do it, oh, gee, it's not working, So I would certainly be against doing it, plus it all goes on your data plan.
Alrighty. So Vanessa's going to do that, and we'll bring that back for next month. Also, we're almost spent out on our office supplies, but Bill informs me that we do need a drum and toner, which is kind of going to put us over our annual budget on office supplies. So we'll have to do something next meeting to move some money around.
Right, we'll talk to Mike about where we can.
To acquire that, okay? All right, so that okay with everybody. Thank you, Bill, for bringing that up. Nominating committee, just to make Jan's work a little harder. Edward Haddington has officially resigned. He wanted to thank everybody for all the support you gave him while he was here. And his life has just gotten very complicated with all the issues he's working with, and he doesn't really have the time right now to dedicate to us. But he looks forward to coming back again in the future. Anything else on nominating?
No, we're going to meet next week. We're starting the year. I actually have been working a little bit on Edward's position because I had a feeling it was coming up. Just for the whole board, if you have any suggestions of any organization, anybody we can contact, please email me before Monday of next week. Thank you.
All righty. Public safety, Ray.
Yeah, public safety with all the street repaving that's going on. We've been doing a lot of getting speed bumps put back in, and streets painted, and we've also been doing a lot of getting the city to take care of trees that are falling down into the street, and that types of things. No real serious issues as of the last meeting. And I'll turn it over to Bill for the emergency subcommittee.
Bill?
Yeah. Before we get to that, I don't remember the exact date, but approximately mid-February, end of February, I think it is where we're going to have our semi-annual pothole sweep. So if anybody has any of the potholes or minor street or sidewalk issues, get the information to me as soon as you can so we can be ready for that. We get to put in about 15. They select maybe 7 or 8 depending upon how big or wide an area is. Same as we've done the last. They do, They sweep the entire city twice a year with the neighborhood council, so we did our last one in summer. Now it's about time to come up again. So don't neglect this and then complain about the speed bump pothole in front of your house or near it. Now, they're not going to tear up the street. They're not going to redo streets, but they do a pretty good job of small issues. So watch for those as you're out there. Because our meeting was very near the holidays, we did not have a December EP meeting. We will have another one third Tuesday of this month. I believe it's the 20th, I think. And we will have a speaker there from a company called Survivault, Survivault. Their specialty is kind of a concierge service, bring it to your house after you purchase it, complete anywhere from 3-day, 5-day, 1 week's kit for your house, including any, for emergencies, including anything from the tent and the food and the sanitary supplies, etc., depending upon how much you want to put out. So they're going to come and again talk about earthquake preparedness, and those are the kind of things we tend to forget about. We all get the water, we all get a little bit of food, or we get what happens when the toilets don't flush, or it goes into your neighbor's yard, or something like that. So you need to be prepared for all aspects of it, including the cold nights and the hot days, perhaps, because your air conditioning doesn't work because there's no power. So that's at 7 o'clock at the office. That's about it.
Is it? Thank you, Bill. All right, outreach, Jim?
Thank you. No outreach meeting last in December, but we will be having one next Monday, January 12th. And we'll kind of be wrapping up everything and seeing how last year was compared to this year. We also have items coming up, the renewal items that we've gotten. We'll talk about those at the next meeting. So come there. We did have a very good December, by the way, as far as outreach comes. So right now our totals are right around 900 stakeholders.
Really?
Which is a big improvement. So, and we're going through them. I think we actually started at 350 real names. A lot were names of, like city organizations and city departments. But as far as stakeholders, so we're actually, this year's efforts are good. I really would like to see that double by next year. That's probably one of our main metrics that Donna is doing. So continue the good work, and if you have any other outreach ideas, let me know. I know we want to work with parks and seeing what we can do. They didn't have too good of a show up, but that's the way it goes. I mean, in the beginning, when you're starting something, you may have 2 or 3 people. Just don't get discouraged. I'm sure Bill will have some ideas, but we're prepared to help them also. Thank you.
Brian, Jim, if I could ask you, if anything that you're going to have motions at the meeting, could you get them to me the following day or the morning, Thursday the 22nd, so I can get the executive committee agenda?
Oh, yeah, that's no problem. We'll be ahead. In fact, we should have the preliminary agenda out tomorrow for the board's review, and I hope you do comment. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Jim. All right, Sid.
Okay, thank you. Before we get to the motions, I just want to update, been to a number of meetings past week. I've been to the Department of Water and Power MOU meeting. As you know, neighborhood councils about 10 years ago had an agreement with the Department of Water and Power through a memorandum of understanding. One of the agreements was that if there's any rate increase, that neighborhood councils will get a 90-day notice of any rate increase. What came up in the meeting is that their board has not presented a budget yet, or there's a prospective rate increase probably going to be introduced in March, obviously well within the 90-day time limit. So we will really not have a real adequate time to respond to that when it does come, but they're working on it, and so I just want to update you. When I hear it, I'll let you know. Your question?
Yeah, water and power.
Both. there's a lot of question right now. There's a presentation by the independent ratepayer advocate, and he's trying to get involved. He's having a study done once the proposal is put forward, but there's no definite answer yet. But there's going to be one. No one knows exactly how much it's going to be. Then there was a discussion about Dunn. The good news is Dunn has been budgeted for more employees. The bad news is that the employees for Dunn are exempt employees. There's only 50 exempt employees in the city, and right now Dunn is having a problem getting employees considered for hiring because of that exempt provision. So the good news is that it's in the budget. The bad news is they can't spend it. So that's whatever that means. Gracie Lou, who's the manager, is working with the mayor trying to find some way to get a waiver or to get more employees. But right now, most of the department are exempt, and they're sort of stuck in hiring anybody. Okay. There's 60 in the whole city. So there's other departments that want exempt employees. And, okay, so that's... I don't know if all of you got a message from the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment on regarding to the sexual harassment. That what has been sent out is supposed to go to all board members that they're to sign that they received. Note that the copy of the harassment policy, and there's an expectation that all board members will sign this affidavit and return it to them. So I guess, how many people on the board received that in their emails?
I haven't received it.
There's one. So.
How many board members got that? 2, 3?
Check your junk mail.
So I don't check my junk mail every day.
Well, anyways, we were supposed to sign it by the end of this week. However, there's going to be an extension because a lot of board members have now objected to signing even the fact that they received a copy of the rules.
I got a thing on ethics that had to be signed by the 5th.
Yeah.
Is that the same thing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, the conduct. Yeah, conduct. Yeah. So the conduct court, excuse me. So that was supposed to have been signed by yesterday, but it's been extended because the number of...
I believe that was the thing that we brought up to the board a couple of months ago, where our committee had looked at that and said we can't, support it at all because it didn't have, it had a lot of missing holes in it, didn't support, a proper review process. You're guilty until proven innocent, you're blah, blah, blah. So I don't see, what's happened to that because we submitted that and said, hey, this isn't all wrong, and now they're still trying to, Anyway, that's my comment.
Let me just address that. All they're asking is to sign this that you receipt. It doesn't mean you're going to follow it, doesn't mean you're going to believe it, doesn't mean the board is going to do it. But a lot of other neighborhood council members have objected to signing, so they'd rather have a training. So that's going to get into the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners to resolve that, just to update you on that.
Sid, you have a question?
It's kind of a public comment. First of all,
Excuse me, if you have a question on what's on the table.
well, it's kind of a clarification question. You called it a harassment policy. You called it a harassment policy at first, and then someone else called it an ethics thing. It is called the Code of Conduct, and it is an agenda item. I hope I can make just a brief public comment on this. And a question, I guess I'll ask that first. Did they extend the time period which to sign it?
Yes, they have extended it. It's not officially, but there should be an announcement coming up that it's extended because it's going back to the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners to decide whether people will be allowed to take a training rather than signing the document. So.
Okay, so we're in limbo between the 5th when it was supposed to be signed and there's still no official extension. Anyway, my point is I've looked at this document
And I've gone online and I went through the signature process just to kind of see how the response would come back when I did it. From a stakeholder's point of view, signing that code of conduct is absolutely meaningless because there's no consequences to it. In other words, you're just signing a statement that you read this, it's a behavior that's expected of board members. If you violate any single one of those things, there's no consequences in that document. There might be other consequences that might be available to the public or to somebody who disagrees through other avenues, grievances, or whatever. But as far as the code of conduct is concerned, I don't think any board member should have an issue with signing it because there's no consequences if you break it.
Thank you. Go ahead, Sid.
We then had a presentation by Rayford Johnson. Looks pretty good. Who was a spokesperson for the having veterans homeless for emergency purposes for the homeless. There's 20,000 homeless veterans in the city of Los Angeles. And the Brentwood VA is the largest VA facility in the country. It has over 200 acres that are free. There's no land. And the proposal was that the mayor, who wants to see the homeless issue addressed, that he meet immediately with Ted Lieu, who is the congressman, plus the VA, to find a way of establishing emergency housing for the veterans on the property at the Brentwood facility. So we're going to bring this up at our next meeting to see if the neighborhood council wants to support that action. But it was a pretty dim picture of what's going on in the city of Los Angeles for our veterans, and so that was there. And there's 2 surveys online. One has to do with the body cameras for the police. The LAPD is looking for input on what people think about the body cameras, so you can go online at the Los Angeles City and find that survey. And there's also a survey online regarding the sidewalk and city and street proposal, to looking for ideas from the citizens of Los Angeles about their feelings about how the sidewalks and roads should be repaired. And those surveys are online that are available, just to update you. So then I will go to the meeting that we held last in December, and we had 3 resolutions that we brought forward that are here, and let me take them in order. One had to do with street vendors. I did contact the councilman's office. I did wanted to get input regarding that, but I didn't get a call back. But anyways, we talked, and the recommendation is GHNC recommends that the city prohibit any form of street vending. And the reason we want to take such a strong action is there are many issues. One had to do with the safety of the food being provided. Who's going to be policing this? Is there enough staff to ensure that all this is safe for the public safety? What's the budget for this if there is going to be done? So we felt just from the logistics and administration point, and also the other street vendors may be using knockoffs, all kinds of things, depriving other official retailers of their commerce. So we felt that the city really couldn't manage this activity. It's such a big city, and just to say that all street vending should be prohibited by the city. And that's our recommendation.
Let me just digress to Megan. What's the councilman's?
We haven't taken an official position on it, though we have some very serious concerns. So right now, there was a report that came out. I think we talked about it at the last neighborhood council meeting. I encouraged the neighborhood council to, consider the item. He's reviewing the report, which has some information with regards to fiscal impacts to the city as well.
There were several street vendors out on Woodley today.
I know that's been
so, okay. Any other comment? I got a comment. Ray?
Oh, if I may, street vending is currently illegal, so if you do see it, especially in Woodley, please call it in. You can call it into 311. You can report it via your 311 app on your phone. But
there are two mission officers dealing with a couple of people on the south side of the driveway going into our office. And there was a street vendor on the north side, and they got in their car and they left without